Colossians 2 verses 1 through 3, it reads as follows. For I want you to know how greatly I strive for you and for those at Laodicea, and for all who have not seen my face, that their hearts may be encouraged. Underline the word encouraged. It's going to be key to our lesson this morning. As they are knit together in love, to have all the riches of assured understanding and the knowledge of God's mystery of Christ, in whom are hid all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. Our text is found in the book of Colossians. The book of Colossians, like Ephesians, says a whole lot about the church. The book of Ephesians, you would term that, or the theme of that book could be Church of Christ. You know, God's unity of the ages being found in the church. When you look at Colossians, you'll see defined and described the Christ of the church. He is before all things, and by him does all things consist. When we look at Colossians 2 verses 1 through 3, we see the text that fits into that context that lets us know that, look, if you want to be encouraged, if you want to understand all the riches of his wisdom, if you want to understand history as his story, if you want to understand your present and your future prospects, you find it in him, the Christ of the church. I want to take for a subject this morning, once again, the idea of enemies without. Enemies without that enemies without that get within, or that come in. Now, I'd like to start by just sharing a quote from Karl Marx, and he was an enemy without. He says, the first requisite of the people's happiness is the abolition of religion. Here was a German philosopher exiled to England, quoting this in a paper in 1844. A century and a half later, or a century and a few years later, we found about 1.5 billion people following this particular person's philosophy, and that is trying to abolish religion in countries where over 1.5 billion people lived. Enemy without communism. Enemy against Christianity. A particular philosophy that says that we will not cohabit with Christianity. When you look at communism, it's backed by a group of people called atheists, and they follow the philosophy of atheism. And the idea of atheism is simply A, the awful privative in Greek, and then the, or theos, meaning God, and so A, the negative meaning without or negating God. And so people who don't believe in God, we call atheist. And so there's another ism that is anti-Christianity, an enemy without. Then you have the idea of evolutionism, where people believe, and they teach in our public schools, our college campuses, that man evolved from matter, okay? Or that he came from nowhere and there is no governor or creator or sustainer of the universe. And let's face it, folks, everyone in this room have been tainted by some of these philosophies. I know that in the middle 60s, and Gina, you know, in the middle 60s, on all the college campuses, we had pro-communist demonstrations in our country. A lot of our classmates became communist, okay? Card members of the Communist Party here in the United States. Then we had the idea of people negating or disbelieving in God. I remember in 1966, I became a skeptic, okay? After hearing Stokely Carmichael, Ron Karenga, I didn't really profess it and go out and tell people I no longer believed, but I did not believe anymore. And my life manifested, my lifestyle manifested what I believed inside, because I was bombarded by these isms, all right? Enemies from without the church, or enemies from without Christianity. Then we have the idea of secularism, all right? and not so obvious an enemy, but all the more an enemy, okay? Just as much an enemy of communism and atheism and so on. Secularism teaches that the most important thing in the world is the world, okay? Okay, you are immersed in the world itself, and the most important things to you becomes what's around you, and they are important to you because you've been influenced by them to believe that they're important. Circular reasoning, okay? It's almost like Nappy Chin and Captain Nero, two winos who used to hang around in front of my house. One used to say, man, you're the smartest man I've ever met. And then the other one would say, no, you're the heaviest man I've ever met. Circular reasoning, okay? Both of them were in their own little world, and both of them believed that they were the most intelligent people on the face of this earth, and that's basically what we found in the idea of secularism, all right? Why is this important to you? Because they told me that. I've been programmed to believe that this is the most important thing in this world, and therefore I should sacrifice and give my whole life to this particular cause or for these particular things, okay? Whether it's status, whether it's pride, whether it's materialism, whatever, okay? Whatever secularism has told you, that's what you're living for, okay? And secularism works through the media, okay? And the media in the Middle and Dark Ages was the art and the music. The media today is still the art and the music, but only it comes through television now. Television and the movies, all right? And we go back to what? Aliens, Darth Vader, etc., the Star Wars, Ghost, and whatever. There are subliminal messages coming out of all of these particular forms of art that are shaping the way you think, all right? These are enemies from without. Humanism, teaching that man is the ultimate and there is no God, all right? Man is the ultimate of the universe, and man should do anything that satisfies him, which leads to what? Hedonism, right? And hedonism ultimately leads to sadism, okay? Ultimately leads to several other isms, all right? And so the idea of hedonism, whatever feels good, do it. Whatever feels good, do it. And why should you do whatever feels good? Because man is the ultimate. Sir Thomas More, English philosopher, okay, and his Utopia. Plato, 3rd century, or actually 4th century BC, his Republic, all right? Man is the ultimate. That's basic humanism. Now, we have what's called the Humanist Manifesto, Part 1, Part 2, written in this country. And guess who was the signer of Part 2, or one of the signers of Part 2? The number 4 signer was John Dewey, father of progressive education. And about the number 8th signer on that Humanist Manifesto was Walter Mondale's grandfather. Isn't that amazing? Okay. No God, all right? Man is the ultimate. And therefore we are pragmatists. Whatever works today, we will do regardless of morality or ethic. It works. Let's do it. And that's almost like the Epicureans of the 4th century BC who taught what? Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die. Okay? Or the idea of what? Pitching the wang dang doodle all night long. Okay? Telling Captain Uncle Sam and Razor Toting Annie and Butcher Knife Toting Fanny and so on, and pitching it all night long. All right? And then the other ism that we've got to face from without is the idea of modernism. All right? Modernism simply rationalizes everything that was miraculous in the Bible. It rationalizes the supernatural and says, look, there are logical and reasonable and scientific explanations, which science by definition means simply that which can be measured, okay? That which can be measured. And therefore in rationalism, they're saying that there is no God again. They're saying that man is the ultimate again, and they're also saying that when you read your Bible, negate the miracles, negate the supernatural, and whatever ethic your conscience tells you to follow, follow that. But if you want to do something else, do not restrain, like Freud says, don't you restrain with your super ego your idea, okay, your id, all right?